So welcome everyone to our training workshop sponsored by DSU Online on design tools or DesignPLUS tools to format and style Canvas content for your online courses. So it's good to see you all. And I am pleased to welcome our facilitator for today's workshop, Mr. Ethan Deceuster, who is an instructional tools developer at City Labs. Ethan also teaches an instructional technology course part-time at DSU while he's working full-time with City Labs. And again, he is a former colleague, was a learning designer and project manager for DSU Online. So he has a wealth of experience. He might tell you about a little bit more experience in his background, but we'll look forward to learning about how design tools can help you easily make your Canvas courses look great and make them more interactive and easier to navigate for your students. Your students will really appreciate your effort to make your Canvas courses easier to navigate. And if we have time, we'll learn some time-saving tools for instructors as well with design tools. So I'm looking forward to learning today, and we'll turn the time over to Ethan to lead our discussion about DesignPLUS tools.
Hey, thank you, Terry. And yes, it's good to be back with you guys here at Dixie. I'm here at my home office, and it's kind of strange to be, tuning in like this, but it's cool to see a lot of familiar faces and names and everything. So I'm really excited to share this with you. The City Labs design tools are something that we've been using at Dixie for a while, and I really love the tools and what we're able to do with them. And so when the opportunity came along that I could go and work with them and help develop the next generation of tools and provide support and stuff, it was just a really great opportunity. So anyway, but as Terry said, I still teach one course online, so still a trailblazer technically. And anyway, I'm excited to be here playing on my home court. Thank you for joining me today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to essentially go through the City Labs training that we do whenever a new institution signs up for DesignPLUS. Then they can enroll in this training. And so there's several parts to it, and it normally takes several hours. So you can see there's a lot of things, a lot of features that we have available for you with DesignPLUS. So obviously we're not going to get through them all, but what we'd like to do is just kind of show you what's available. And I'll say this many times throughout the training today. If you want to have more specific or want additional training or want to follow up with any of this stuff, the person to reach out to is the learning designer that supports your college. So you can find that information at online.dixie.edu in the faculty page. And I'll post links to all that kind of stuff at the end of the presentation today as well.
Ethan, can I interrupt for just a second?
Yeah,
and just remind them that that's for the online that they go to their particular designing. But if they're doing their face-to-face and want to do some of these design tools, then they go through the Center for Teaching and Learning.
That's right. Thank you, Diana. Appreciate you reminding me of that. So Center for Teaching and Learning also has expertise with these tools and can answer any questions that you have if you're building a Canvas shelf for your face-to-face course. So anyway, what we're going to do today, I hope to try and make it interactive. So if you are at your computer, it looks like many of you are versus a phone or something. If you're at your computer, go ahead and open up Canvas and just get Canvas on a window, and you can kind of follow along with some of the things that we do today. So many of you, I'm sure, have used these tools already, and you've seen them and you've enabled them. But by default, Dixie State has set the tools to be hidden. So if you're a very, very first-time user for the tools, then you'll have to enable them. And that's the first thing I'm going to show you how to do. So real quick, I also wanted to mention, if you have questions or anything like that, you can feel free to unmute if you are comfortable doing that. Interrupt me at any point, that's totally fine. Or if you prefer to just put it in the chat, I have that open here on this monitor, so I'll be looking at that as well throughout. So, all right, hopefully you all have your Canvas course up and ready to go. And I'm just going to kind of walk through this real basic overview of what DesignPLUS is all about, and then we'll help you turn it on and start playing with the tools. So DesignPLUS essentially is a tool set, many different features that can help you improve the aesthetics and look and feel of your course. They can help you to save a lot of time by templating different items, and they help you to build, the students will feel that the course is more professional grade and find it more trustworthy and things like that when it looks nicer versus, really basic, simple pages. So it's found in a sidebar in Canvas. So as you're editing pages, you can get this sidebar out, and then all the tools are in there. And then there's also another tool that helps you to upload and embed images, and then another tool that allows you to build courses from scratch. So if you're ever creating a brand new course, design tools can save you hours and hours of time, because they have this multi-tool, it's called, that can help you build out stuff in a flash. So here's the upload embed image tool. And then this is the multi-tool that helps you build templates or adjust due dates for all of your different assignments and things like that all in one place. So that's what the different tools are. When we say DesignPLUS, we're talking about all of those. When we say design tools, we're usually just talking about the sidebar aspect. So the way that it works is.
Sorry. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not, and I've been working with the, you wonderful online designers, but when you say sidebar or the tool, I'm not seeing it on my, so maybe everybody else is way ahead of me, but
You're good.
not seeing it on my Canvas.
I'm not seeing it either.
Yep, I haven't launched it yet at all.
Oh.
So I know. It's okay. You're anxious, I can tell, and we'll get to it. But yeah, it's visible in edit mode. And right now we're just looking at the saved pages in this particular course. But once I go into editing the course, then you'll see how the sidebar will pop out. I'm going to start adding additional features. But anyway, the way that it works is that on Dixie State's Canvas account, they've installed a JavaScript file and a CSS file, and those two files enable you to make all this stuff visible to students and on your pages. But unless it's used through the design tools and has a design tools wrapper and has the right coding on it, then it's not going to work very well. So it's important that you use it in the right way, and that you use these things called content blocks, because that's what provides that coding wrapper around your different content. Without doing the blocks and having them wrapped in that, then things just aren't going to appear the way that they should. So I won't go into too much detail on that, but here I'm going into edit mode. And when I do, you see this little thing that pops out, right? But if you are editing and you haven't ever used these tools before, it's actually going to be hidden from you. And that's Dixie State has disabled the auto launch. So if you're in edit mode on one of your pages and you do not see a rocket ship, then if you are on a Windows machine, you have to hit Alt, Shift, and D at the same time. And then you'll see this launch button, or I think it will just pop out on its own. If you're on a Mac, then you have to hit Option and Shift and D, and then that will enable the tools for you. So if you've already used the tools, you have probably already set it to just automatically launch. So when you do launch the tools, then it pops out this sidebar. And the first thing to do is come here to settings up in the top right. And you want to choose one of these settings, either automatically launch the tools where the sidebar pops out on its own, or just show that launch button. And that's the one that I recommend to most people, because you might not always need these tools every time you're editing a page. So just click this so that way the button is there and you don't have to remember the keystroke. So show launch button is enabled. Yep.
I'm on a Mac and I still don't see what rocket ship or anything when I do Control Shift or Option Shift D as in dog.
That's correct. Yep. So you're on a page in Canvas, in Dixie Canvas.
I'm on the main dashboard.
Okay, so you have to go to a page and edit it. So go to one
Okay.
of your courses. And when you're in one of your courses, go to a page or an assignment or a quiz. Design Tools works anywhere you see the rich content editor, where you can actually enter in information. And once you get to one of those and you're editing it, then try it again. Then try the Option Shift and it should load for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So Ethan, again, what did you click on to have that second section pop out to the left? What did you click on? So I've got that up, but then you had another thing
Oh,
pop out.
yeah. Sorry. So up here in the top right, there's a settings, little cog wheels. And if you click on those, then it'll pop up with this modal box design tool settings.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yep. And then just choose one of those. That way you don't have to remember the keystroke anymore.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now you can see, and I'm actually going to change this to basic. This is what you see when it's just the basic
It's watching.
comfort level. And anyway, so I'm going to go down to, well, you know what? I'm going to just start on a brand new page. That's what I'm going to do. So you can see it from the very beginning. Okay, so here's a brand new page. Launch the tools. And the first thing that you can do, if you go to create and edit content, this is where you can add pieces onto the page. So there's a section here that says choose a theme. And when you click on that, has institutional themes. That'll probably already be loaded automatically for you. And then it has some of these different options that if you hover over them, it shows you what a page would look like if you were to select that theme. So you kind of get a preview box there, and there's just a variety of different styles and options. So you find one that you like and select it. And when you do, then it builds out the title and banner for you so that you can, put the name of your page here. And if you want, you can also include other customized banner text. So that would be down here where you customize the banner text. So if you wanted to call this, for example, like week 3 or something, you could say week and 3. And yeah, that just did something weird. Hang on just a second. Oh, it's because I don't have a title in my I need to title it here first. Okay. All right, so I've got the title in here. I've got the title in this theme, and then unit name, I'm going to put week and unit number 3. So if you wanted to use something like that, you could do that. Anyway, it's got also like subtitle if you wanted to include like a little blurb about what this page is about, and a description if you wanted a more detailed description. And it just, what it does is takes this information you put in here in the sidebar and it builds it out on the page itself. One thing you might notice is that there's these markings on the page. So right here it says begin design tools wrapper and end design tools wrapper. And that's important because it shows you what content is actually inside the wrapper, which is how the coding will work. And then there's this blue border around here, and you might be thinking, well, gee, I don't want that. I don't want my students to see that. If you were to save the page and look at it on the saved view, all of those things go away. So those markings that you see in the editor while you're using design tools are really just there to help you with the editing process, to kind of see where the different lines are and what the different elements are. But once you save it, then it just looks, like a normal saved page. So if I go back into edit, and I wanted to add content here, I don't know why this is there. I can also use this button, add content blocks. And this allows me to create new content blocks. So a content block is like a section on your page, is the way that you can think about it. There's a few here that are just presets, but you can also create your own custom brand new one. But I'm going to hit on the preset objectives. So I click on that and you see it builds a new block that's outlined in blue. And this is where I might put my different module objectives or my assignment objectives or whatever else that I want to explain to students about the purpose of this page is, I can kind of write that. And then maybe I have another section that's going to be called instructions. So up here on add blocks, there's a create new content block where I can customize it. And I'm going to call it instructions. I click the green button and it drops in a new block for me, an instructions block. And then here's where I can now, add a list of instructions like step 1, do this, step 2, do that. And structure out, the exact instructions I want for my students. And it's very clear now. These different sections of content are very clear from each other. Whereas if you were to just type all of this together in one paragraph, it might be harder for students to really know and navigate your page. What am I supposed to do here versus here? And what's that all about? So adding these different blocks and sort of compartmentalizing your page allows you to really separate that content out. So if I added another like readings, and I can rename these. So if I wanted to change it to like resources, because maybe it includes videos, then maybe right here I can say, here's this PDF, and here's this video, and I can go and add those different resources that the students might need in order to complete this page or assignment. And anyway, so that's the way that the blocks work. When you're structuring a page, you're building it with these sections called blocks. And that's really the basis, the foundation of how design tools work. Again, once I save my page, all those blue borders kind of go away, and I'm left with a really nice and neat page that has all of the information that students might need. Now, that's just kind of a real quick crash course, and for some of you probably use these already, and that's great. For others, this might be the first time you're seeing it. And so again, I hope that you have Canvas open and that you're editing it, and you can try kind of playing around with some of these things too as we're working. Okay, so I'm going to head back to the home page for the overview.
Ethan, may I interrupt again, please?
Go for it.
Can you create a template so that you can use that without having to reconstruct it each time?
Yeah, great question. So let's jump to that. And that's what I would prefer for this training to be, is things you would hope these tools have the utility to do. And I can answer whether they do or not, and then I can demonstrate that. So making a template and then pulling that into other pages. Let's talk about that. So let's say that that page that we just made, I think I called it page 1. Let's say we wanted to create our next page to look just like that, page 2. So now if I go into the design tools, and again, I'm just kind of starting from scratch here. This time I'm going to go to create edit content. And instead of choosing a theme and adding blocks all over again, because that took me 10 minutes or so, I'm going to go to copy existing content and all course pages. This shows me all the pages in the course, which in this course there are many. Yours hopefully won't have this many. But here's page 1. So all I do is select page 1 from my list of course pages, and it drops it right in there. And so now I have the exact same format that I had from before, except now I just need to update a few things, page 2, and maybe this is during week 4, maybe this objectives are different, and I'm sure that the instructions are different and so on, but the blocks are all there and the same look and feel is there, and I did that in 2 seconds. So yeah, this is definitely one of the strengths of using design tools, is that once you have a design or a page that you like, you can easily pull that into other areas as well. In fact, if I were to create a new assignment, I could do the same thing. Any item, an assignment, a discussion, a quiz, a page, they can all pull in from pages, but not everything can pull in from an assignment, if that makes sense. So all course pages, here's page 1, and now I have an assignment that looks just like that too, and I can call this one assignment 1 and go on with, you know, updating that template. So yeah, the learning designers with DSU Online use that feature a lot, because when they build out an entire online course, there's many pages, and they want them all to be consistent. So they'll create placeholders, you know, like right here, it might say insert subtitle here or whatever, and then they'll go through and update those things based on their templates. So yes, does that answer your question? Okay, great. David asks, can you only pull from the same course, or can you also pull from other courses? That's a really great question. There is a way that you can create templates. Okay, so I'll answer your question just as it's written. The answer is no, you can't pull from other courses that you're a teacher on yet. Our next edition will have that feature, but you can pull from institution templates, which there is a sort of design tools master course at Dixie State that very few people have access to, but you know, the Canvas administrator, Scott Allen, has access to it, and others. So that if you had a template that you wanted available across the institution, it could be placed there. If it's not something that needs to be placed across the institution, you can also create a sub-account master course, and then it can be available to you within that sub-account. So right now you can see I have one of those. This one says online master templates, template pages. And that's because this course that we're looking at right now, it's called Ethan Course B, is inside of a sub-account called Online Master Templates that has its own master account. So so Aaron's asking, how do we do that? In order to set up, it's called an extended customizations course, but sub-account master course maybe makes more sense. You would need to go through the Canvas administrator, Scott Allen, and then he would contact City Labs, and together they would set that up for you. So there's a lot of kind of coding in the background that goes into that, and administrative privileges or permissions that are required. And so Scott is the one on campus that can set that up. So Aaron or anyone else here that's interested in doing that, feel free to reach out to Scott Allen, and then he can connect with me or others at City Labs, and we can set up one of those for you. So the power behind that is, let's say your program or your college has a homepage that you want every course in your program to have that. You could set that up inside of one of these sub-account courses, and then now that homepage template is available to all of your faculty that work within that sub-account. It's similar to putting things, up in like Canvas Commons, but it's nice because when it gets put right here in the sidebar, you can see how easy it is to just select it from a drop down and click it, and it'll pull it right in. So yeah, it's a really powerful feature that hasn't been utilized a lot at Dixie State yet, but I'm sure that they'd be happy to work with you on that. And so yeah, I'd refer you, any of you that are interested, to do that, to work with Scott Allen. All right.
Scott's in the meeting right now too, so.
Oh, perfect. All right, yeah, and Scott, if I'm speaking out of line at all, or I don't mean to speak on your behalf, so if there's anything else that you need to add or correct, feel free to jump in. Okay, perfect. I appreciate the questions and comments in the chat, and there's others that come up, oh my word, just let me know, and we can kind of jump to that point. All right, I'll go back to the home screen now, and what we'll do, so we talked just barely about copying existing content. The other thing that sub-account and institutional account courses can do is just the blocks only. And so if you don't want to have to pull in an entire page, you could just load up custom blocks that you can pull into. All right, and then basic styling is so now we're kind of jumping into part 2 of the training, and you can use design tools to kind of change the style of different elements on a page. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate that here on this page. Seems to me that they have kind of an example of all different things on here. So normally when you put in an image, it places the text down here. You can on Canvas tell this one to kind of float left, but then it sort of goes right up against it. Doesn't look all that nice. So design tools, when you select an image or any other element, up here at the top, there's this bullseye, and that allows you to jump to the current element styling. So when I click on that, now it's showing me different image options that I have. So when I place an image in the editor, I can use some of these different options to style it. So I can change, whether it's rounded or it has a border, things of that nature. And also I can choose the alignment, and it places that automatic kind of margin around it, so it doesn't go right up against it. I can do that left or right, or none. I can also have it fill the entire width of the page, although you can see when I've done that here, it's made it sort of grainy. So when you check on max width fill, it tells it not to get any bigger than, then it would look correct. So you can also adjust the height and width and add alt text if it's not decorative. You can add alt text, which is important for accessibility purposes, directly in here in the image tool. So it works really well with images. Let's see, links and buttons. This is a fun feature as well. So you can select a link, and you can change it to look more like a button. So when I click on here, now my link looks like a button for students to click on. And there's a lot of different styles and things like that. And you can change, size and whatnot. So lots of cool button styles and things like that you can do with links. Let's see. This is just a list of links to play with different options, but we're kind of cruising through this. All right, so tables. You can insert a table with Canvas, and then use design tools to sort of style it. So you can create a head row, and this again, this is helpful for accessibility purposes. Canvas doesn't automatically insert a head row, but if you were to add in content, you can see that it bolds the head row. Leaves the rest alone. You can choose these different styles like row hover, which changes the background upon hovering, or you can make it striped, which alternates gray background for every other. So that's kind of cool. You can make it sortable if you have numerical data in there, to where you can sort them. I'll send you this. It's already sorted. So that's another cool feature that's not native to Canvas. And then you can change the width for columns. So every column you can determine how wide you want it to be and customize that style of your table. All right, David asks, go back, things you can do with links. Okay, so let's go back up here, and when I click on it,
can I pause you for just 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
I was looking away from the screen and missed how you did the link button and even got to the tables. And when I look at my screen, I can't find it. Could you just show me from
Sure.
after clicking the little blue bullseye, where do I find that?
Got it. So the blue bullseye, what it does is it looks at the element you've chosen on the page, on the editor, and then it will show you the tool related to that element. So right now,
So I would need to have a link in there first before I can see the link button. Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right. So yeah,
And same thing
right
with
now,
tables, I assume.
so that's why
And-
you have to create a table
Okay.
first, and then you can play with that. Mhm.
That would be why I can't find it. That makes sense.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. So when we click on a link, David was wanting to look at this, and it sounds like maybe I went too fast here, but you click on a link, you can click the bullseye, and then it'll launch again whatever the current element is. And if you want, there's other features here. You can change what the link text actually says. You can change what the URL, the destination of it from here as well. Open in a new tab just makes it so that whether it's a Canvas link or not, or an external link, it'll pop up in a new tab for the user. Indicate visited is kind of a cool one where it's yellow if the user has not visited that page, and it turns green if the user has visited that page. So if you have a lot of links that students are going to have to kind of come back and reference, and they may not remember where they left off, that could be helpful. And then, yeah, so button link icon, you can choose an icon to put next to it. So let's say it's for your home page. Put a little home icon and turn it into a green button. And now I've got a button style with an icon in it. So that's what this button link icon does. The icons are really cool because you can put them anywhere that you want on the page. If I wanted to add an icon here to this, then I would go into heading styles, and it's not showing me those. So, okay, let me show you something real quick here. In the settings again, I put it to basics. So you could, because we were just going to kind of talk about some of the basic stuff that's in design tools. But what that does is it adjusts which features are on and which features are off. And you can see that most features are off at this point. So if you choose advanced, it will turn on those features for you. So things that may have been hidden to you before, it's just because it's been disabled in your settings. So if you're wanting to see everything that Design Tools has to offer, and again, there's a lot there, so maybe you don't. But for the sake of our training, I think I'm going to leave it on advanced from here on. And if you're not seeing something that's on my screen, then try going into your settings and just selecting the advanced level as well. All right. So anyway, okay, and then tables. We talked about you have to create a new table first, and then you can add those different styles and stuff.
Aaron, I had a question in the chat about the links.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Trying this with the link and it won't save. Aaron, are you doing one of the button styles or an icon, or which of those things were you trying to work on? No, I can't hear you. It doesn't look like you're muted, but I'm just not, sorry. Maybe the microphone settings are really low.
I can't hear Aaron either.
This is just typing it in the chat, I guess. Perfect.
No,
Okay.
yeah, we can't hear you, Aaron.
Add link and can select the button and everything, but it won't save. So you mean when you hit the save here, and then it pulls it up, that it's not showing as a button. So when you look at it, even though it looked like this in the editor, it doesn't look like that when you save it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, and we'd have to kind of troubleshoot a little bit more, just one-on-one. Never shows as a button, even though it is highlighted with the green asterisk on the right. Even in the editor. Okay. Yeah, I'm not just familiar or knowing right off the top of my head what's going on there. So Aaron, if you want to stay after we've ended here, I'd be happy to go one-on-one and troubleshoot with you. Okay, cool. So links and buttons tables. You can take existing tables and turn them into design tools tables. And that's, I think, probably what I'll focus on next is if you've already got a page, you've already got some content, how do you then update it or style it if it wasn't built initially with design tools? So if I just select this table, then I can click on my blue bullseye and it's going to launch whatever the current element is. And I can make those changes to it automatically. I can make it sortable. I can style it however I want to. And yeah, so a lot of the tools you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to just grab it and then change it into the design tools format. But you'll notice that this table is inside of a block, right? It's inside one of these blue borders, one of these sections, design tools sections. So even then, it's not, you know, like you're starting from scratch. So let's talk about that real quick. David's asking about that too. Taking pages with the other existing content, turning it into design tools. So let's think of one. They've got one on here that already has some stuff without design tools. And, styling existing content. Here we go. Okay, so here's a page. It's got some different elements on it, but none of them are design tools. This is all just native Canvas stuff. So I'm going to go into edit and just to show what's going on. In fact, I bet you this will answer Aaron's question too. Okay, because it just dawned on me. If I click on this link, which again, none of the design tools wrapper or blocks or anything has been set up yet for this page. This is a regular Canvas page, existing content. If I were to go here and I were to try and change it, it's applying that class to it. And I can see if I were to look in the coding that it's taking that and it's applying you know, the design tools class to that link. But since that link is not contained in a design tools wrapper, Canvas doesn't know what that class is on its own. Canvas needs to see it within the design tools, and then design tools sees that class, that coding, and it says, I know what that is, and it styles it. So when you make changes to existing content, this is really critical. It has to be contained inside of the design tools block or wrapper. And since none of this content is yet, I'll show you how to go about doing that for the first time. So, all right, perfect. If I go to choose a theme or add a content block, either way, if you don't want that big, you know, banner up at the top, you don't have to have that big banner up at the top with the title. You can just leave the Canvas title how it is if you want. But theme is if you want to get that banner at the top and then add blocks underneath it. But just to show you that you don't have to have that, I'm just going to add a content block directly. And I'm just going to call it existing content 1. And when I add that, it's going to put it at the top of my page. And you'll see that now that little marking here, begin design tools wrapper and design tools wrapper, shows you the container in which all of your content needs to be in order to apply that content. So actually, this first section is called course description. And if I wanted to, I could, you know, cut and paste content in. Oops. You want to do a clean paste, which is Control-Shift-V. And anyway, if I wanted to, I could just grab my content from down here and put it in here and create blocks that way. But the easier way to do it is to highlight your section. So this looks like a section here because we've got heading level there and the next heading is there. So I just highlighted this whole section. And now what I'm going to do is go to add blocks. And there's a button down here. I wish it wasn't so hidden. But this button here says selection to block, and it takes regular Canvas content, it wraps it in a block, and it puts it in the wrapper for you. So I've highlighted that. I click on this button, and now it goes inside that wrapper. And look at that. The link style that we had applied outside of the wrapper that didn't show up is now visible when it's inside the wrapper. So now the design tools class that was applied, that code that was applied in the HTML, it now knows how to interpret that and it's visible to us. So this one though, you'll notice is not styled like this. And that's because this one's a heading 3 level. And this one's a heading 2 level. So if I change that to a heading 3, then it applies the heading 3 style. Every heading level has its own style within a theme. So anyway, real quick detour. When I first started working at Dixie and we were trying to get this type of look, you know, the rounded edges, the rounded corners, the red background, these different styles, we were having to go in here and try and figure out how to make Canvas do all those things on the HTML side. It was very time consuming. So I'm so happy that there are people smarter than me that figured out how to create tools like this that essentially just do that work in the HTML for you. So you never have to go there. So it's pretty neat. All right, so then let's grab another section here. I'm going to highlight this. And in my add content blocks little menu, I'm going to click selection to block. And it adds it to there as a block. Again, if I wanted to change this to a heading 3 level, I can do that. And here's an image. Maybe I want to apply some image styles. Now that it's inside of a block, I can do that. So let's click on the blue bullseye and the image properties are here. You can see that the alt text, this is not a great alt text because it's the same as the file name, which is a no-no. So instead, I'm going to change that to say photo of Sebastian Sohn. And I want this to float left and I want it to be a circle because that just looks cool. And now I've taken that existing Canvas content and I've made it into Design Tools content. So let's save the page and kind of see our progress here. So we've taken some of these things and applied a few different styles to it. And you can compare that to the way that it looks here. Again, the content isn't different. We're not changing the content, but we're just changing the appearance or the delivery of it so that the way that students consume it is a little different. And this theme, this consistent look and feel, helps it to be just more consistent and navigable by students. So that's how you would take existing content, use that selection to block button and turn it into Design Tools content. Okay, running out of time here and there's so much to share with you guys. Nothing new in the chat. So I'm gonna move on to one of our most popular features, the accordions, tabs, and expanders feature. So accordions, tabs, and expanders allow you to have some space-saving features on your page. So normally, if I were to have all this content that's in these panels, it would take up a lot of space on my page and students would have to scroll through it all. But if it's all related content that I want to kind of group together, I could put it in tabs with these different panels. And as I change the panels, then I get different content. So these ones stay hidden until I select them and then they're visible. You can put any kind of content you want in here, not just text. You could put videos or images or files or whatnot. You could have an entire lesson delivered through tabs. You could say, all right, here's the first part of the lesson, read this. Great, now move on to tab 2. Now here's a video to watch. Great, now move on to tab 3. Here's the questions I want you to look at. Now move on to tab 4, here's a link of something else. And so you can sort of sequence content as well using tabs. Really cool feature. Accordions are the same idea, except instead of being horizontal, they're vertical. So when you click on a panel, it expands. And in an accordion, clicking on another panel collapses the previous one and expands the one you clicked. So you can have only one panel open at a time on an accordion. But as you can see, you can put content inside there and save space that way. An expander is just like an accordion, except as many panels as you want can be opened at once. So you can open more than one or all three, and usually has these controls where you can collapse all of them or expand all of them at once. So that's another really cool feature. I use this feature. I'll show you this real quick use case for it. If I can see around this Zoom stuff. So on some of my pages, I include a lot of information on the discussion or whatnot. And so instead of including all of it down there, I'll put it into a accordion. And then now that students can see all of that content that normally would have taken up a lot of space on the page. But when I use the accordion, then I can save that space and still have the content there without having to send them to another page or anything like that. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Accordions panel. Okay, so how to do this. Let's go back to, I'm just gonna open a blank page to make it easy. Okay, when I go to launch the tools, under add advanced elements, this is where you'll find accordions and tabs. So I can add an accordion as its own block, or I can add it inside of another block wherever the cursor may be. In this case, I don't have any blocks, so I'm just going to create it as a block. And when I do, it creates just one panel and the panel content. So now if I want, oh, this is really important. First thing, decide if you want this to be an accordion, an expander, or a tabs. By default, it's set to none, which means it's not going to do any of those cool things. So you need to choose what you want it to be. I'll choose tabs. Over here, I can label my tab headings, tab 1. I can add another panel, tab 2, add another panel, tab 3, or 4, maybe. And then here inside of each of these, I can create ASDF content. Now again, look at it, that doesn't look like the tabs, right? When I'm looking at it in edit mode, I've got this box, I've got this little thing that says tabs. This is just to make it easy for you to edit the tabs while you're in edit mode. Rest assured, once you hit save, then it appears and it gets that functionality, and then now it works as it should. So accordions and expanders work the same way. You just grab those from the advanced elements section. Okay. So yeah, that's a popular one that DesignTools does. And what was the other one I wanted to share with you guys? Quick checks. So I'm running low on time here, but as you can see, there's so much here. Feel free to reach out to CTL or DSU Online if you'd like to dive even deeper. And again, I'll share some links that show the entire, user guide and everything related to this. Quick checks are really cool. They're little formative little mini assessments, sort of an informal check for understanding. You can place them onto any page or assignment or discussion. And as students are reading through your content and they're, you want to check for understanding, you include one of these. It's called a quick check. And it just has a prompt or a question and then different answer choices that you want. And then they can select one, and it's not correlated to the grade book at all. So it's just a very informal thing for students to look at. So they choose an answer. You can predetermine what the feedback is. This feedback area can have text, images, videos, links, whatever you want to have in it. And then you can have a correct one that's highlighted in green. So if you wanted to, you could have like a really simple practice quiz, maybe even at the start of a quiz, say, here's a couple questions, see how you would do. They click on it, and if they get it wrong, you can say, not quite. Remember, go check on this page to read more about that and refresh your memory. Or don't forget to watch this video or resource. Maybe you skipped it. Here's where you can go to learn more about that. So you can place quick checks within, other elements, like within tabs. They work anywhere on the page that you need them to. So let me show you real quick how you can do a quick check. It's similar to a tab or accordion where you can add it as a block or put it at the cursor if you've already got a block. But it's under Add Advanced Elements, and it's down here under Quick Check. So I can add it as a block, which makes it its own freestanding section or unit. And I can title it, whatever I want it to be. Right now, neither of these is selected as correct. So over here in the design tools, you'll want to choose one of them to be the correct answer. So I'll say A is correct. And you'll see when I do that, it highlights it as the correct answer. So then you can enter your answer A, option, and then hear the feedback that students see when they select it. You can edit the question text here. You can have a video be your question text, however you want to do that. And then add as many answers as you want. So if you wanted to be like a 4-choice, multiple choice, you could set up 4 choices. Default, it just has 2, but you can do as many as you want. And then this feature is on by default. It says hide next until completed. When students are inside of modules and they get to the bottom of the module, there's a next button in the bottom right, and they click on that to go to the next page in the module. Well, if you want, if that feature is on, then that next button is hidden or disabled until the students answer these questions. So it's just a way, if you really wanted them to look at this and not skip over it, it's one way that you can try to do that. If you don't like that idea, you can always turn that off, and then it doesn't mess with the next link at all. So that's the quick check. These are really fun. I know Bill Christensen really went to town with these quick checks in his online statistics 2040 course, I think it was. He had his lectures and his videos and stuff, and then he'd put in these quick checks with just practice problems. And the students would go through, try a practice problem, click on it, and then you have feedback for them. That really helped prepare them for the quizzes and things like that, where there were points involved. So if you like the idea of having students answer some quick informal questions, this is a really cool feature that DesignPLUS offers to do that. Okay. Huck Stewart, the designer, says he recommends having those off, the hide next until completed, because he points out that when you revisit a page, it's unanswered again, which means that next is disabled again. And so they would have to answer them all again in order to move on. So yeah, that's a great point. Okay, got just a few minutes left here. I wanted to save, maybe the last 5 or so if you guys have other questions. But before I forget, I'm going to throw this, and if you want to start exploring, you can, into the chat to the whole group. And this is a list of some resources. So your first go-to is at the university level, Learning Designer. Oh, and I need to add CTL as well for face-to-face. So Diana reminded me of that. I apologize, I didn't have that in my note right here. But so you can go to your Learning Designers, you can go to CTL and contact them with questions. They are experts in this, and they know all these features like the back of the hand. They can help you to do these different things. And then City Labs, our organization, has some different guides and support and video tutorials and things like that that you're welcome to use on your own as well. So those links are all there. Feel free to explore those. And there's so many other cool things that design tools can do for you. So keep exploring it. All right, so last thing I want to show you guys, if you want it, has to do with navigation. So in a Canvas course, you have the modules view, but you'll notice this is actually a page, and yet you're able to see the modules on the page. So when you go into a page within the modules, if you're using design tools, I'm going to go to basic styling right here, and I'm going to add something called the module list, which allows you to display to students on the page what's inside the module. So I'm going to go, it's an advanced element, and it's here in the module list. So you can add that to the bottom of your page. It shows the students the different modules. You can turn on and off which ones you want to be visible to students. So if you only wanted to show module 2, which is the one this one is in, and if you wanted to include quick links to the different items within that module, you can do that as well. And then at the top, they already have one of these. I'm not sure why that's not pulling up really quick. I'm really rushing here, but at the top, they have one of these that's a module progress bar. And it looks like this, where students can see kind of how far they are in the module. And this is just showing that I'm on page 2 of 8 within the module. There are other styles of that progress bar as well. So let me show you what options you have there. Module progress and navigation. So this is the one that's selected. But you could also do this, where it has an icon for each one. And then, oh, this is the one I was thinking of. You can make it to where it actually looks like a modules view from Canvas. So now it looks like this at the top of our page, and students can still see what the module looks like, even though they're inside the module. That's a common complaint about Canvas, is that once you enter a module, it's hard to know where you are in there because you've sort of lost that bird's eye view. But DesignTools has ways that we can pull in the different information from the module and still, have that navigation available to students, even when they're in a page or inside the module. So anyway, I really feel like I've been just shooting you guys with a fire hose here, but I'll take a look real quick at let's see. Yep, an email. So I will send that to Terry as well. And Terry, if she does a follow-up email, can send those links, and be sure to include CTL also in that. And,
Dave Salisbury is asking if you could list off some of the other features you didn't have time to cover.
yes, yeah, let's just go real quick to the home. This home page has all of them here. Okay, you can style anything pretty much. You can add borders, padding, margins, color, and different things like that with the design tools. Accessibility, it has an accessibility checker that helps you to do like alt text on images, and it checks for color contrast and things of that nature too. Syllabus, it allows you to have like a locked policies. So if I wanted to, like at the institution level, if Dixie State had like, here's a standard boilerplate stuff for your syllabus, and we're just going to lock it. And then when you build your syllabus, you can just click on pull from institution syllabus, it'll pull it in, and then it's not editable. It's just like a static thing, and that's in there. But if Dixie updates their policies block at the institution level, it'll update your policy blocking, of course, too. So there's some cool stuff that you can do to template syllabus. Let's see. You can work with iframes. Sometimes iframes are hard to style, but DesignTools has different iframes options. Icons you can place within anywhere you want. The Font Awesome icon library is available through DesignTools. This is all about module list. Teacher and TA details. This is kind of cool for a home page. It allows you to put in the whoever your teacher is. It creates like a little contact card almost. So I'm just going to drop that in here, insert as a block, and it just puts that wherever you want. A lot of people put this on their home page. So it just pulls that information straight from Canvas, which is pretty cool. So there's this, iframes are. I'm sorry. I think I've lost my touch here. I'm the computer nerd now. All I do is sit here coding all day long, and I'm anyway. Guys, I've had a lot of fun, and yeah, feel free to check out those other links if you'd like to see more, or just contact me. I'm still on the Dixie team, so ethan.deceuster@dixie.edu. You can feel free to send me an email too. I don't mind answering some questions if you need. But anyway, Terry, I hope this was what you thought would be helpful for faculty, and just play with those tools and contact DSU Online or CTL if you have further questions.
So Ethan?
Yeah.
So City is an independent third-party company, right?
Correct.
And again, did you say at the beginning that DSU has license? So they take care of all the money part of this, right?
Absolutely. Yep. They've purchased it site-wide, so all faculty and teachers. Yep. Okay.
Long-term, since this is a Canvas-specific third-party app, would you guys be acquired by Instructure or try to stay independent?
That's a good question. That's one that I asked when I was interviewing with City Labs. And Canvas, from what City Labs CEO has told me, Canvas likes the fact that they create sort of an open platform and they share the APIs so that other vendors can do things like this. And they, from time to time, will make enhancements to their native tool set. So for example, you may have noticed that Canvas recently added a bulk due date modifier to assignments that didn't exist before, but City Labs had created that feature a long time ago, and it still has more functionality than the native one does. But no, they don't seem to, that doesn't seem to be the disposition of Canvas to acquire smaller vendors like us. So yeah, but we'll see in the future. I mean, Canvas has been making some changes in leadership and stuff recently, but that hasn't been their protocol in the past. So.
All right.
Question.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ethan, and thank you all to all of you for joining us for our discussion and workshop about DesignPLUS tools to help you style Canvas, make your Canvas courses more interactive. If you have any questions about DesignPLUS tools to enhance the online courses that you teach, you can contact a DSU learning designer. It sounds like Ethan's offering that you can contact him as well. And I will go ahead and share that link with you. Ethan shared it with you as well.
Okay.
I know I'm sharing with you some of my screen, but Ethan showed you some of the things you can do with tables, and as well as with accordions and expanders, which are so nice to be able to organize your content and make it easier. And you could see how you can use the tabs. This is just a sample course that I've used. So it makes it much more interactive with for your students. Also, just having the quizzes in the middle. This is just a course I'm developing. Hey, are you new to Dixie? Yes, well, gives us some automatic feedback, or no, gives some different feedback. So wonderful ways to make your courses more interactive. So thank you so much, Ethan, for giving us some ideas and showing us how we might use these design tools. You're not alone. You can contact Diana Mon with CTL, and you can also contact a DSU learning designer if you want additional help with using DesignPLUS tools. So Ethan, you'll stay on the line for a few more minutes if anyone else has additional questions.
Definitely. And if you wanted to see some of the newer stuff that they're working on, I'd be happy to share that also now that the meeting's like officially over or whatever.
Great.
Thanks to all. This was nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you all for attending.
So Ethan, I can't believe they made you switch to the dark side using a Mac.